I just want to first recognize and thank my district director, Alexander Luke is here, all of the members of D9 organizations as well. I want to again reiterate the thanks to the governor's office and AG's office for the work that they're doing around appraisal discrimination, trying to make sure that they limit the harm that happens to our community. But this conversation has to go beyond limiting harm. That has to go towards reversing the harm completely and beginning to deliberately and purposefully empower our communities around home ownership because those rights were taken from us deliberately. Historically, those rights were taken from us. The National Association of Real Estate Boards was the original organization that began to start the concept theorizing race and property value, which was codified by FHA and their policies that began to underwrite mortgages in communities, and based on that underwriting, based on that policy, underwriting communities based on race and where they were. The Homeowners Loan Corporation identified 240 cities across America and began to categorize them in types. Green at the top, red at the bottom. Green was cities that should be invested in. Red was cities that discouraged investment, not just in homes, but also in supermarkets, also in educational facilities. So it really kind of cordoned us off or barricaded us into communities without resources purposefully, which also went towards appraisers who had to stay in step with the FHA, who tried to stay in step with federal policies that began to purposefully and deliberately appraise homes at lesser values in order to stay in step with what was happening nationally. So in order to reverse this trend, laws have to be passed, which is being done today, to be able to identify that discrimination. And I just want to tell us that even if we identify individuals that are discriminating, which is going to be few and far in between, because nobody is crazy enough to write today the things that we saw up here. A few people might, because some people are just out of their minds. But the overwhelming majority of people are not going to write those things in their appraisal reports. They're just not going to do it. And so systemically, these practices take place that we have to begin to address and reverse here. And so I want to applaud the AG's office, applaud the D9 organizations for marching us down this road because our value is in our homes. When we lose our homes, we lose our wealth. And New Jersey is has one of the largest wealth gaps in the nation. When recession hit, our value decreased tremendously because of our lack of home ownership. And homeowners that live in cities like Newark, where only 25% of the people own a home, their tax burden is heavier here in cities like Newark, but also in cities across the state. Their tax burdens are heavier because they are paying basically for taxes on homes that have been undervalued as well. So the gap between what they pay and the value of their home is great, so they can't even invest from what their home is supposed to be worth at the same time. This is why this has to be addressed. And if we leave it to a regular circumstance, it will take us over 200 years to address the wealth gap. And so we need expeditious movement in this area. So applaud everybody that's doing this today. Godspeed to you, and you have a partner with us here in Newark, and definitely a partner with Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, who is going to stand in the gap when there's gaps presented to us. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.